we're good. We're going to be good because all the houses we do are rental properties. So we're just kind of trying to weather the storm, continue buying as much as we can, do as many deals as we can. And then once the interest rates kind of stabilize, we'll be in a good position to continue to go hard.
Mic check.
I'm good.
Mic check. Mic check.
You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
Every day I'm hustling.
What is going on, everyone that is in this Online Hustlers Podcast, where we bring in series for REI marketing and conversion. We cover everything REI marketing and conversion, and we're going to come up with now more series that is now regarding expansion of your business. So we obviously understand that this is a lead generation marketing and sales business, whatever it is you're doing in wholesale space and even the flipping space, real estate investing space. We're going to learn how to expand your businesses to other ways, whether that's people, specific systems. Today, we have a person that he's my fellow Canadian. So you all know I'm a Canadian entrepreneur that ended up coming to the US through it's a TN visa that started through Detroit. They basically hired me in the Motor City and gave me the opportunity to be living in the US. And the guest today, he is also Canadian, and he's been investing in real estate as a Canadian citizen and lives in Florida right now. And he's been doing this virtually in other markets. But not only that, he's been flipping homes in other markets out of state, and he's been doing this at a high volume. He owns, I believe it's called Martel Turnkey, and he works with his dad and was able to meet his dad. Has flipped over 500 homes as a 27-year-old, and currently what they're doing is they do 600 flips a year, which is incredible to me. So these are the type of entrepreneurs that will bring a lot of value because they have created systems, processes, automated their business, being able to just create a way to ultimately become a successful entrepreneur, a successful business owner, and will give us some of their tips, some of their tricks, some of their hacks. Will give us some tactical things to bring in today, tonight, and so you guys kind of start doing it in your business. But I want to really get to know this individual here today. And let's get him right now. And what's up, my man, Antoine? How's everything with you?
Going well. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for being here as a fellow Canadian. Obviously, proud to have other fellow Canadians here. You already had me on a podcast, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
We're here in Miami, and I'm hoping that we have a secondary episode where we can, share many different things in person, so that people can actually see that we're creating great content for everyone that is actually listening to this episode. But let's go back to you. Let's actually understand Antoine Martel, a Canadian entrepreneur. Where are you from? Where are you coming from? And obviously, I want to understand, what's your background in terms of everything entrepreneurship, everything hustling, but becoming a smart.
Yeah. So I was born in Toronto. That's where I grew up, lived there for about 5 years. Then I moved when I was 5 years old in 2000. So I was born in 95. I moved to San Francisco Bay Area, grew up there. And kind of as soon as I moved to the US, that's kind of when my entrepreneurial spirit, I guess when I was 6 or 7 years old, my mom had a grocery store, a small little market kind of grocery store, a local market grocery store. And at 7 years old, I was working at the grocery store, Then in middle school, I started selling stuff to all the classmates, like candy bars, or importing stuff, just selling stuff, flipping stuff to other classmates, other students. Then same thing in high school, I started importing from China. Started importing hats and clothing and soccer jerseys and shoes and soccer cleats and all this kind of stuff that was in really high demand for everybody in high school. And I started importing this stuff and selling it to my classmates in
You
high
said
school.
7-year-old? You said
That was
like
when I
since
well,
seven.
when I was 7. I was like mostly working at my mom's store, and I would run the
Mhm.
cashier. I would stock the shelves. I would do those kinds of things at my mom's shop. And then as I got older, I started selling stuff. My mom's store shut down, so I started selling stuff to other classmates, like kids in middle school or in high school. I started selling them products like right in the middle of class, and people would go and buy these hats and at Zoomies or PacSun and spend $50, and I would import them from China and sell it to them for $20 or $30. So that's kind of how I began, and that's kind of my entrepreneurial journey. Then I went to college. Then in college, I started a couple of apps. That's when apps were hot,
Hmm.
like from 2014 to 2017. That's when apps were really, really popular. I started a couple apps, made some money, lost some money, and then went to a real estate seminar while I was in college as well. And that's when it really just took off for me, when I was like, man, this is all right. This is my ticket to, graduating from college and not working for somebody else. I can graduate and now start my own business, and I'll do it in the real estate world. And it was kind of after going to that conference that I realized that real estate was something that I wanted to do, other than just like selling little knockoff stuff that I was importing from China, or doing a mobile app or something like that. I really thought that real estate was a way more tangible way for me to get out there and start making some money flipping houses or buying rental properties and stuff like that.
Yeah. You started doing this with your dad. It's my understanding, or you started doing this
Yeah.
yourself?
So I was in college. I was about a year away from graduating from college, and I went to the seminar, learned a bunch, and started networking with people in and around LA that were investing in real estate, flipping houses, buying rental properties, and just started learning what they were doing. So, how are you investing in real estate? Where are you investing? How did you build your team? All this kind of stuff. And I learned a ton about how other people were doing it, and then I just kind of copied them. I started cold calling property managers, choosing a market. I found some realtors that were willing to help me find some deals. And these were just for like to do the BRRRR strategy. So to buy houses, renovate them, rent them out, and refinance them. That's what the goal was. And so I found a couple property managers, a couple realtors. They started sending me deals. My dad had some money saved up, but he was still working a full-time job. So I was kind of after college, before and after class, I would kind of like go do research on this real estate investing. I eventually found a deal a couple months before graduating, put all the numbers together, sent it to my dad. My dad had 40 grand. We bought that house, renovated it, rented it out, refinanced it. And then from there, we just kind of scaled up. Started doing more and more deals, started doing about a house a month until we kind of ran out of money when we got to close to 8 houses. And once we hit 8 houses, once we got to that point, we started reaching out to friends and family, and they started reaching out to us saying, hey, how are you guys investing in real estate? What are you guys up to? What's Antoine up to after graduating from college? And we started selling these houses in our family portfolio to friends and family members. And that's when Martel Turnkey kind of began in 2018, where we now didn't buy houses anymore just for us to buy and hold, but actually bought houses for us to buy, rehab, rent, and resell to our friends, family, other investors. And so that's when Martel Turnkey started, early 2018. And, since then we've done, 600 houses, and now we're on track this year to do, close to 600 doors just in one fiscal year.
One fiscal year. And I promise my listeners to every single time bring in hidden gems or people that have, maybe you may not know before, but now you're knowing because of this podcast.
Yeah.
So my biggest promise, my biggest offer is that we're gonna be able to give really, really actionable things, actionable items, potentially maybe even frameworks on how to be able to make good amount of money. Because right now you guys are at going over 600 homes in a physical year. you're so young, man. You're 27-year-old. You guys are also
Yeah.
Canadian. This proves that not only like if you live if you don't live in the US, it doesn't mean that you cannot make money out of this. So if there's Canadians that are listening to this, there's huge opportunities of doing that remotely, I'm assuming. Were you when you started doing that, were you already here in Florida, or where were you?
I was in San Francisco. So I moved when I was born in Toronto. My family's all Canadian. My dad got a job when I was 5 years old to move us from Toronto to San Francisco back in 2000 when all the tech stuff was in Silicon Valley and stuff. So my dad got a job transfer, and that's how we got our citizenship too, because he got sponsored.
Yeah.
So due to him being sponsored, we were able to get a citizenship in 2010. I think it took 10 years for us to get citizenship.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you guys taken till you get your business to where you are right now, making a couple of year a month?
Yeah. So the first year we did about 10 houses. Then we did, the next year, which was 2018, was really when we started selling those houses. I think we did 30. And then it just continued to double 30, 60. Then we went to I think 120 after that. And then after that it was 180, and just slowly just scaled up and just continued doubling and doubling and doubling. Obviously now there's some challenges with our business due to the interest rates and all that kind of stuff. So things are not as easy as they used to be due to the interest rates going up. So we're kind of navigating the storm right now, but I think we're good. We're going to be good because all the houses we do are rental properties. So we're just kind of trying to weather the storm, continue buying as much as we can, do as many deals as we can, and then once the interest rates kind of stabilize, we'll be in a good position to continue to go hard.
Yeah. Well, you've developed a flip system essentially. And over time, as you guys do volume, obviously you have to be able to control this. And it's not easy to have a volume-based business. And obviously it's not easy to maintain more than 2, 3, 4, 5 flips at the same time for people. So what would you say, is there any framework that you guys are currently following to make this successful? How are you guys capturing and acquiring this type of homes that you guys are flipping for turnkey models? If you were to start like a few years ago before you guys did it, like what would you guys have done differently? Like what are those frameworks or processes?
Yeah. So it's funny you kind of said flip system. So we actually, a couple months ago, we realized there was a ton of people that didn't want to buy turnkey rentals. They wanted to start their own turnkey business. They want to copy us. You said flip system, which is hilarious because we called the new company Flip System, where essentially it's Martel Turnkey's system, our acquisitions team, and coaches. So we get coaches, the CRM, and our acquisition team at Martel Turnkey, all within this kind of umbrella. We call it Flip System. We made a website. We have some people that have signed up already. We have a couple salespeople running it. We have a couple coaches. And this was just a business that we kind of fell into because everybody was reaching out. Like what you just said, you must have your systems really, really down. To be able to flip 50 homes a month. And it's like, yeah, we do have our systems down. Like, doesn't everybody? Hell no, we don't even know what system to use. What system are you using? Zoho or Podio, or where should I begin? Where should I start? How do I find my first deal? And we're like, okay, how about we just bundle everything together? We give it to you. You pay a monthly fee to get access to the acquisition team, coaches, and the CRM. And so that's what we've kind of started and pivoted to. And because it takes a long time to scale it up. I mean, we've been building our CRM for 7 years now, every single week with new updates, building out our CRM. And, it's a lot of work. And then the acquisitions team all started with me analyzing the deals personally. Then I hired one of my best friends from college to start analyzing deals. Then we started hiring a few more people to kind of come onto the acquisitions team. So, we have 4 people in our acquisitions team, both for Martel Turnkey and now for those people that are part of the Flip System kind of community.
Okay. So what are the first things that someone has to figure out in order to start flipping homes and ultimately getting
Yeah.
a very similar system to what you have, where you sell turnkey properties already ready to for
Yeah.
I'm assuming retail buyers or investors,
Yeah,
right?
retail balls or yeah. So the first steps are choosing the market, building a team, and this is where a lot of people mess up. I mean, a lot of people can choose a good market like Cleveland or Remember, you just take the Midwest and throw a dart, and you're probably going to be, pretty damn close to a good city to invest in. So that's not that hard if you just focus on the Midwest. Obviously, if you're looking at the coast, you're in the wrong place. But if you're focused on cash flow, it's not that difficult to find high cash flow markets. The problem where people mess up now is they don't build their team in the right way on the ground. They start calling contractors, realtors, property managers, and then they find all 3 or 4 or 5 of these different groups of people and try to be like, okay, you guys are a team now. You're my Memphis team. Never works. The way that you have to build a team on the ground is you have to find that group of people that already is working together. So you find the realtor, property manager, and contractor that already have business together. They're already working together on a monthly, weekly basis. And you want to pop into that system and just put cash and put deals onto their fire that they already have going. Because for you to build a relationship with 5 people 3,000 miles away is going to be impossible. It's never going to work. But if I go find 5 group of friends that are all in business together and they're doing 1 deal a month, and I go say, hey, my name's Antoine, I live in Miami. I want to take you from 1 house a month to 3 houses a month. Can you guys handle that? Yeah, we can handle that. Would you guys like that? Yeah, we love it. We love working together. Okay, perfect. Now I found my perfect team on the ground with one phone call to a property manager or to a realtor or whatever. And that's kind of how you can scale up so quickly, is by just making your phone calls in the right way and using the right scripts and trying to find the right people on the ground.
Okay. All right. So first, obviously, you are choosing the right proper markets. Where are you guys currently buying so that it makes sense for a turnkey model flip
Yeah.
system?
Yeah, so we're doing deals right now in Memphis, Cleveland, St. Louis, Detroit, Cincinnati, and a couple other smaller markets. But those are our big kind of 5.
Okay. Oh, you're doing in Detroit, in the
Yep.
actual city of Detroit? Isn't that like a
Not the
top city?
city.
Okay.
We're doing mostly in the suburbs. So we're not really doing right in the heart of Detroit. We're mostly in the suburbs of Detroit. Yeah, you're right. As you get closer and closer to downtown Detroit, it gets a little bit rougher, hard to get contractors to show up there. So we tend to stay a little bit outside of the downtown core of Detroit, but we do some stuff in Detroit City, but really on the fringes, on the edges of the city.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Now, the next thing is you're saying building out an acquisition. Like this is an acquisition system where you're consistently bringing in leads, being
Yeah.
able to have those homes so you can flip them. Like how you guys would go about that? Is there specific marketing channels or anything that you guys go for?
Yeah. So we mostly get our deals off the MLS. So Zillow,
Mhm.
Redfin, Trulia. There's still a ton of deals in the Midwest, and every single day, every single month, there's more and more deals being added to the MLS in these places. That's probably where we get 60, 70% of the deals we do. Other than that, we do still get a ton of deals from wholesalers. We even started our own wholesaling company to get deals in house, but that maybe is a few houses a month. The other way we get deals is through broker relationships. So just having a relationship with a realtor or something like that on the ground. But I would say it's a mixture between mostly MLS, and then the other 40% is really realtor, broker relationships, and wholesalers.
Okay. And would you say that you would pay a little bit higher than a wholesaler would do in order to get these properties locked up? Or like, what are your, let's say, buy box criteria whenever you're looking for this type of homes that then you can do turnkey model?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, we're being very conservative right now with the deals that we're doing. We're not buying any houses that don't have like double the buffer of what we had a year ago. Last year we were okay with like a 10% margin, ten to $20,000 in profit per house. On $100,000 house, that's 10 to 20% profit margin. Now we're looking for double that. So anything from like a 20 to 30% profit margin, just to give us some more room because we don't know what the interest rates are going to do. We don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. So we're trying to be really, really conservative with the deals we're buying right now because we don't know where things are going to go. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the position that we're in. I mean, a lot of fix and flippers, a lot of buy and hold investors are saying the same things because, even conventional loans right now are at 7.5% as of this week. So it's getting really expensive.
Yeah. And would you say that, for instance, now thinking about acquiring these properties through creative financing would be an option?
Yeah, I think creative financing is good as long as you get a long enough kind of timeline, a long enough term on the loan that you're getting from the seller. So, for example, a lot of people who would do seller financing get a 2-year term. I just probably wouldn't recommend a 2-year term right now. I'd probably recommend a 5, 10, 20, 30-year term if you can, if you're going to do seller financing. But yeah, I think seller financing is great. It's always great. I just think it's hard to scale, and you just want to protect yourself that you don't have some big balloon payment in 2 years.
Okay. So yeah, it's most like worrying about the balloon, being able to make a scalable acquisition system, right? Like,
Exactly.
why would you feel that the creative financing, or what would the creative financing method with what you guys model has would need in order to make it scalable?
So I think like when you do that, like you're gonna have to go direct to seller if you want to do something like that. So if you want to do like a high volume seller financing model, you have to go direct to seller. Having conversations direct to seller is hard enough. Then convincing them on what the hell a seller carryback loan is or holding a note or something like that also gets really, really complicated with explaining to these people over the phone or email or phone call or text message what that even means. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a really not scalable. Like for Martel Turnkey, we go make a cash offer, we close in 10 days. Everybody knows what the hell that means, right? Now I go to them and I'm like, hey, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold the note on your house. You're going to make $400 a month for the next 10 years. At the end of 10 years, you're going to get this. Like, how do I, like it's just way harder to scale. And that's why I've never really implemented that. For me, it's always been like, can I do 50 of these things a month? 50, seller finance deals a month? How many people do I have to talk to? I mean, it would just be a ridiculous number of people. So ridiculous number of people. Okay, now I need, how big of a staff do I need to call and pitch to these homeowners X, Y, and Z thing, right? So it just becomes pretty unscalable pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, and what would you say that, for instance, your model, it's so good and it's been able to give you such a kind of amount of revenue compared to, let's say, a regular flipping business or wholesale business? Like, what's so different? What's in there?
Yeah. A couple things. One of them is that we have multiple exit strategies. So a lot of the fix and flippers are doing deals for like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in the Midwest of ARV. Our ARVs are all below 150. So like if somebody doesn't want to come and buy our house, we can always just rent it out, refinance it, even hold it cash. We had a couple phone calls today with some investors, and we're just going to hold some properties cash, not sell them, just cash flow them and make a 12% return on their money for the next 12 months until the interest rates kind of settle down. So that's the kind of position that we put ourselves in for all of these deals. We have multiple exits. So I'm never worried about a recession or, all these different fears and risks or interest rates going up, for example. Like if I'm flipping houses or doing new construction right now, I'd just be, super, super worried about all the interest rates going up. Is somebody going to want to buy my house? Their mortgage payment just went from $2K a month to $3K a month or $4K a month. Are they going to be able to afford my house? So there's a lot of things that I would be worried about if I was like doing a traditional fix and flip. Whereas the turnkey model, you just have way more exit strategies. Sell it as a turnkey rental, keep it as a buy and hold cash, refinance it, sell it on Roofstock, sell it on all these other websites where people go to buy rental properties. Listed on the MLS myself. There's just so many exit strategies, and that's why I love kind of the turnkey fix and flip.
Okay, all right. So for people that don't really understand it, I know you just mentioned it a little bit just now, but let's understand that turnkey model. Let's go from like the 0 to 10. Like let's understand it.
Sure.
Like the first things that, if someone wants to get into the turnkey model, what would they have to do in order to get there?
Yeah. So turnkey model, you buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, put a property manager in place, and then you turn around and sell it or refinance. That's when all the exits come in. So that's kind of how the model works. Normally, we're buying houses below $100,000, below $120,000, spending $20,000 to $40,000 on renovation, selling them for anything from 100 to 150. We take our profit, use those profits to go into the next deal, next deal, next deal. There's plenty of ways to finance those houses too. You can use hard money, private money, joint venture partners when you first get started. So there's lots of ways to get into those deals. And one of the reasons why it's easy to raise money is because you have multiple exits. So you can literally go to your investor and be like, hey, fund this deal for me. Let's split the profits 50-50. I'll rent it out. I will try to sell it. If I do sell it and we profit, I'll split the profits 50-50. If I can't sell it, we'll hold it. This is what the cash flow will be. And, if I can refinance it, great. I'll give you some money back and this is what the number will be, right? Like there's so many different options to where the investor is going to be like, oh, okay. I'll give you $100,000. The worst case scenario is I'm making, $400 a month in cash flow in 12 months because you couldn't sell it or couldn't refinance it. Okay. That's not that bad.
Okay. So would you feel that the majority of the deals that you get, like how much work would they have to put in? Like, is there like little to no work, or is like just slightly minor things that people have to put in terms of the actual remodeling of it, lipstick type of work?
Yeah, so we don't do lipstick because we're selling them as turnkey rentals. So for us, we actually do significant amount of renovations, like 20 to 30K for somebody, on the coast doesn't sound like a lot of money. For us, that's new flooring, new kitchen, new bathrooms, and then normally some other big ticket items like a new roof, new HVAC, new hot water tank, those kinds of things. Because out of state, you can get a new roof for $5,000, new HVAC for $4,000, new hot water tank for $800, right? So it's pretty inexpensive. Paints a whole house for $1,500, $1,200, right? So it's pretty inexpensive. So for us, doing like 20 to 40K renovation is a pretty big renovation. Typical unit turn is going to be like $2,000 on some of these houses. So.
Yeah, and that will take like what, approximately 30 to 40 days or a little bit more in order to turn it around?
Yeah, pretty close, yep.
What would you say after someone makes this commitment, they invest into a turnkey flip, where with using your flip system, how long will it take will be the cash conversion cycle until they get paid back?
Yeah. So normally for people coming in, when they sign up, we actually give them like literally exactly what you said. Like, this is the setup time, this is the build the team time, finding a deal, rehab, and then sales process. Normally they're going to get paid out, get some money back within the first year. Typically 6 to 9 months is what we tell them. So the first month is kind of just setup. After that, it's kind of like deal analysis. Then they start making offers. Then they close on the house, begin construction. So normally it's like 2 months, 3 months. Then the lease out period, and then the sales process or refinance process, which takes another 60 days. So 6 to 9 months is kind of the range that we're telling people when they come and sign up with us about when they can expect any kind of revenue or profits back.
Okay, 6 to 9 months. Yeah. So if for people that don't really understand that this take time, might get impatient, be like, oh, I'm not getting my things done. There's so much work in the back end, and I'm not getting my profits. Like, how do you work that type of the mindset?
Yeah, it all comes down to the marketing at the very beginning, and having our sales team, or me when I'm doing the sales phone calls, to really just be very transparent that like we literally show them on the first sales call they have with us, like, don't expect, this is not some like turn around and make money in 30 days kind of thing. This isn't a get rich overnight situation. This is like, you're building a system, you're building a real business, and the business is going to take time to make any kind of significant amount of money. So that's kind of how we're pitching it, presenting it to them. We tell them, don't expect any kind of revenue for 6 to 9 months. We also make sure they have enough money to get into their first deal when they do sign up as well. So yeah, we're being very selective with who we're kind of letting in, and making sure we're letting them know that like this isn't a quick kind of money making machine. Anybody that goes and flips their first house isn't getting any kind of profit in 2 months or 3 months. It takes time. You're dealing with real people on the ground doing real construction projects. It's not an overnight thing. It's not like it's not a drop shipping business.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, how many? I guess you started recently doing this, and I guess the next time that we chat, probably you've been already having a few couple clients, more couple clients. But how long you been already helping people out this way?
Yeah, so I had a mentorship before this. There was a couple hundred people in the mentorship, and they were just buying rentals. And I got a lot of questions and a lot of talk about the systems, the acquisitions team. Could they hire my acquisition team? And I was like, man, there's a real need for this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have these people that paid to be mentored by me, and there was I think 165 people part of that. We would have weekly calls and all this kind of stuff, and they just kept asking me for different things. And I was like, oh, well, I have that. I just never thought about like sharing my actual system or my acquisitions team or putting them all together. Or where do we raise private money? And I was like, well, I have a private money lender list, but I don't really feel comfortable sharing it with all of you. But maybe we can work something out, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, what if I bundled all my investors, my system, and my acquisition team all together? And so right now, I think we started 30 days ago. I think we have 20 people signed up for Flip System. We're signing up a few people a day right now. And I think that's only going to kind of continue. Again, we're very early. It's only been a month with Flip System. Before that, I had the mentorship, and I was even doing one-on-one mentorship with where people got that kind of access, and it worked really well. But now I'm just kind of more streamlining everything and turning it into a real company now.
Okay, so you're essentially licensing everything that you built.
Yep.
And so for this mentorship that you had, was it like a local thing here in Miami? Like you had something virtual?
No, the mentorship was all virtual. I mean, everything I'm doing is virtual. I really don't do anything in person. So even the mentorship I had was people all around the country, even a lot of Canadians. I was advertising to a lot of Canadians because I have like lenders that lend from Canada to America. And
you like that?
Yeah, a ton of people. I even had a webinar too where I had a bunch of people come in, and I did it just like a Canadian real estate investing webinar in the US, and had a bunch of people that were Canadians looking to invest here, and just like had all these questions. And I'm like, it's not that difficult. Just here's a couple lenders that you could work with to get financing, and follow this exact strategy to go and choose the team, choose the market, and yeah, people are pretty successful.
Then you feel like whenever you're trying to sell something to a Canadian, I've had this experience. They're a little bit more cheap.
Yeah, because they're paying a 20% premium. Yeah, 25% premium. Yeah,
they definitely have to pay a 20% premium, but they usually want to ask more than usual. Like I think Americans not as much, depending on like the culture or where they're from, but I had to deal with a lot of Canadians, and they were like hard closes. You know what I mean? Like just being able to
they were really hard. They were really hard to close, and they just want all this free information, and then you tell them it's going to be a couple $1,000s American or whatever. We actually just matched the price, so I think it was like, let's just say it was $10,000 to sign up for the mentorship. I think we made it $10,000 Canadian. We didn't even like charge them $12,000 or $13,000 or whatever the cost would be.
Yeah.
We just kept the price the same. And yeah, it was extremely hard to close them. And I think it's a mentality thing. A lot of people in America are always trying to get ahead and get better and stuff like that. And then, in Canada, it all seems like they're all just kind of like, yeah, we're good. Like we don't need to, or they don't believe that you can actually invest in America. I mean, it makes sense too. I don't know what kind of ads you were running, but for us, it was like people just didn't believe that they could invest in America from Canada, no matter what I tried to tell them. So they didn't believe me.
Yeah, it was more like, oh, does this really work? Is this like something that, I mean, Canadian prices are different, and, I don't know. And then I was like, man, marketing is marketing. You're gonna make marketing work. Actually, like if you think about it, in Canada, you cannot really like pull list and cold call just as easy as here. Like you have to use direct mail or online marketing to bring in homes, bring in the houses that you want. So what else do you want? What options do you have? You have so many options, then let's go about it, right? So it's still like I had a few flippers, work with few flippers in Canada and wholesalers too. But another thing was like the thinking long term mindset. That's why I asked you about that, um,
Yeah.
how you handle it. But man, that's
Yeah.
great. So you're coming into the system. You're able to plug in your basically your client acquisition, which is your home acquisition,
Yeah.
um, being able to have a way to build out a team for them or with them. Is that right?
Yep.
Kind of like with them.
Yep.
Is this going to be like in-house American people that are going to be selling on these homes, negotiating, or like how do you put that together? Like you recommend to do virtual assistants, things like that.
Yeah. So all the people that we connect our flip system students with or clients with is my actual team at Martel Turnkey. So they've been around the block, they've analyzed, they've looked at a ton of deals before. They know exactly what they're doing and how to analyze these deals. And Martel Turnkey is all American team. We don't have any VAs or virtual assistants or anything like that. The wholesaling company we have is completely virtual assistants, but when people come sign up for Flip System, it's all Americans that they're getting for the coaching, the investors we connect them with, and then also the acquisition team.
So you would share the like your actual closers, the people that would close the deals. Okay.
Yes.
That's a no-brainer offer, honestly.
Yeah.
What about this system in order to, I know that managing flips, man, it can get really hectic and really, really like just finicky. And
Yeah.
I've met different people that they utilize, for example, ClickUp to be able to like manage the flips and being able to stay organized, blah blah blah. And there's different other softwares, but like you build your own in-house. Like, what are you guys using?
Yeah. So for project management within the CRM, we have a couple of different fields that kind of track the progress of the construction, the amount of money that has been sent out for the construction project. So it does project management very lightly because we rely so heavily on like the people who sign up for our flip system are not directly managing the contractors, which is what people really need to get away from.
Mhm.
Managing project management is not something you should be doing if you're a flipper. You should either hire somebody who has that experience, who can do what, I don't care what system you use, go ahead and do whatever system you need to. They should be focusing on raising more money, finding more deals. And if they're doing turnkey flips, how do I sell more houses to clients and how do I find investors? So that's kind of the way that I teach it. I don't think that, because it's going to just take forever. I mean, you have to learn then everything about construction, every single little nitty gritty thing to manage these projects. So instead, if you build your team in the right way, which starts with a property management company, then a project manager, and all that kind of stuff on the ground, you don't have to get into the whole project management side of things and having those softwares and blueprints and timelines and all that kind of stuff, because that just gets enormous.
No, huge. I think that this will be more of a hands-off approach if you actually do that and focus on the revenue generating activities, like you mentioned. So revenue generating activities would be, so we raise capital. Are you guys making people raise capital through like personal connections? You guys give them your own connections, social media?
Both. We're teaching them how to do it, and we're also giving them some connections. So what we did is we have about 650 investors with Martel Turnkey. We actually shot them an email, shot them a phone call, got on the phone with a lot of them and said, hey, we're starting this flip system thing. You've been an investor with us in the past. These people are using our same system, our same tools on the ground. They have exactly the same software and stuff like that as we do. Would you be okay with us connecting you with those people that have signed up for our system? They're going to be doing deals in the Midwest, very similar numbers to the deals that you've lent us money or partnered with us on. Would you be okay with that? And now we have a big Rolodex of investors that we're actually connecting our students with. So we'll actually do a personal connection with one of our investors that has lent us money in the past, and our students can then use those investors to fund their flips or burrs or whatever kind of deals they're doing.
Love that. What type of people would you look for to work with? Like this would be executives that want it's a side hustle, already investors that want to do this full time.
Yeah, it's not really full-time people. It's mostly people that have a full-time job they've always wanted to get into real estate, and they've always wanted to flip houses. So they didn't really want to buy rental properties. They didn't really want to do the, apartment buildings. They maybe have, $15,000 to $50,000 or $100,000 saved up. So they have a little bit of money saved up. They want to do fix and flips, but they don't have the time to do it. They don't have the connections, and they don't want to waste their time analyzing deals for 8 hours a day. So that's the people that we are talking to mostly, is full-time employees that are looking to flip houses, that need a system and need a bunch of tools and people connections to get the ball rolling.
This is huge, man. Now, for the last thing I know, we got only 2 minutes into this podcast, and we'll have an in-person one. So how would you make sure that they actually get paid? How are they going to sell this turnkey property? Still like bringing them to a realtor that will work it out, or like do their own marketing?
A couple of different ways. One option is to sell them, right? The other option is to always refinance. So for every single deal that they do, we're making sure that they're okay if they have to refinance it as a last resort, right? So we never want them to lose money. So, hey, if you have to refinance and you split the profits with your investor, are you cool with that? Cool. Then you should definitely do this deal, right? So that's the kind of deals that my acquisition team is putting into their system. Now, how do they sell them? We show them how to go and build their sales funnel, how to build a website if they need to. We show them how we first started, how we found our first clients. There's also a bunch of websites they can list their houses on without being a real estate broker. They can list them on an MLS using like brokerlist.com. There's a bunch of other websites you can pay $100 to list a house on the MLS. That's a good way to get clients. We also show them how to do some, networking and scraping on Bigger Pockets to find investors, Facebook groups. And there's also a bunch of other websites like Roofstock, where people can literally go list their property for sale. You pay $1,500, $2,000 as a fee for Roofstock to go and sell your house, which is a no-brainer as well if you're first getting started. So you don't need that whole entire sales process figured out when you just get started. You just need to get the house, be okay with refinancing it. You'll try to sell it for a month or two. If you can't sell it, cool, refinance it, pull the money out, and go to the next one.
Sweet. So you're selling it to a lot of retail buyers at the end of, like your end buyer would be that. With a lot of international buyers buying like these turnkeys?
Not really, because the international buyers look for like a way higher return. They look for, they don't really care as much about the neighborhood, which is what I tend to notice. They really just care about the ROIs and cap rate. Most of them are buying cash, so it's mostly just the cap rates they care about. And when we sell these houses, normally for Martel Turnkey, we're at like a 7 or 8% cap. And most of these out-of-country investors, international, want like 9 or 10% cap. They don't care if it's in a rough area. They just want the high returns.
Yeah, got it. Well, man, thank you so much for this podcast. For everyone that listened to this, got some value, please give us a review on this podcast. We'll have a second episode in person where we dive deeper into this, maybe show us a couple of things that he does with his system, and we learn more about the flip system. Where can people actually find you, my man? And how can people know more about your stuff?
Yeah, of course. Best way to reach out to me is on my Instagram, which is my last name and my first name. So Martel Antoine. You can feel free to message me there. I try to get through all my messages and stuff like that. So feel free to hit me up there. And then if you're interested in turnkey rentals, we can definitely help you out. We have a bunch of inventory, martelturnkey.com. And if you'd like to learn more about Flip System, want to get on the call, we can show you how that works, flipsystem.com.
Okay, so you got flipsystem.com. That's awesome.
Yep.
There you go. That's such an easy name. I even just said it, man. Like,
dude, you literally said it. I know. That's why it was crazy. People are going to think you planned that, but
and it's an easy searchable name. So flipsystem.com. Sweet, man.
Exactly.
All right.
Cool,
thank you so much for being in this podcast. Have a good one.
Talk soon.